Hello and welcome back to Topher Drives, where you join me in a little bit of a crisis moment. I just realized the other day that I am up to 7 personal cars, which just seems absolutely ridiculous. No one should ever need that many cars, but I felt even worse when I realized that none of them ever really get any screen time here on the channel. Of course, you guys have seen my 1986 Mercedes 420 SEL that has been in a little bit of a drive-by situation, as you can see here by this exit wound and this auction number. But I figured that maybe today I'd take some time and show you some of my other cars. One of them is not currently here at the garage, but I can show you 6 of them, including a sneak peek of my newest purchase, which is actually sitting out front with a car cover on it. But we'll go over that here in just a little bit. You are quite high up right now. I think maybe I kind of enjoy this angle. And it's clickbaity because you probably think all of these are my cars when in fact they are not. Only 3 of them in shot are my cars. But anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and switch over to POV and I'll take you guys for a tour of the garage and show you my fleet, I suppose. Yeah. Now, if you guys are new here, you may be wondering, well, why don't you drive or really show any of your 7 personal cars? And well, this is why, because this week I'm driving a 2022 Audi RS3 and it's the same story every week. If you're unfamiliar, if you're new here, I also work alongside TheTopher, Winding Road Magazine, and also Charlie from Daily Motor. So I rotate through 2 different brand new cars every single week, and it does make it a little bit hard to find time for my personal cars. But being a car enthusiast, of course, I still want to own cars. I kind of see them as art, and I like collecting, as you can see, which is a little bit of a problem, but it is nice sometimes when you're a little bit tired of some of the new cars, you can step into a car from 20 years ago and experience a more raw driving experience, which is really why I like my 06 Porsche Cayman S. But anyways, this is kind of the reason that a lot of my cars don't get too much attention nowadays. It's because of cars like this phenomenal Audi RS3. But anyways, enough about the RS3. Actually, if you're curious about this, I did just film an afternoon coffee run POV video of the RS3. I'll have that linked down below if you want to see more of that phenomenal little hot compact. Anyways, though, let's get started on some of the personal cars, and right away, the one that I'm most excited to talk about and to fill you in on is this, my 2000 Mercedes-Benz ML55 AMG. This car is in the middle of getting a total mechanical refresh, a tune-up, if you will. It's getting all new, 16 new Bosch spark plugs. It's getting new spark plug wires. It's getting new coil packs. It's getting valve cover gaskets. It's getting intake gaskets. It's getting a fuel filter. It's getting an oil change. It's getting a new air filter. The whole 9 yards. I'm doing all the maintenance that this car has been neglected of for the last 20 or 30,000 miles when it was owned by my buddy. Sorry for calling you out like that, Corbett, but you really didn't do any maintenance on this car. So I'm trying to bring this car back to life. If you're unfamiliar, I bought this car for $1,000 a couple months ago in a very, very poor state. It runs, it just doesn't run very well. So I'm hoping to fix that by throwing all of these new parts at it, and hopefully that will help this thing get back on the road. We'll take a little bit of a look around this thing. It's got some ancient Hankook Ventus tires that are super dry rotted, so I'm definitely gonna need to put some new tires on it. I wanna ditch these stupid headlights that look terrible, look like they were put on there in like 2013 in an effort to make this thing look more modern. Interior is actually pretty nice on this car. The battery's disconnected right now, so none of the lights are gonna come on. So hopefully you guys can see it, but it's a super clean interior. And overall, it's a super clean car. I mean, you don't see many of these in this good of shape, especially with 180,000 miles like this car has. So that's the ML55. The hood is in service mode right now. Let me step over here so you guys can see. The hood is just like straight up and down, just to give the technician some extra room in there to get finished. So my buddy Keone from Cap's Garage, I'll leave his channel linked down below. He'll have a video doing some of this maintenance here. So if you'd like to actually see the process of this maintenance getting done, make sure you check out Keone because he'll have a video showing you how he works his magic on this old AMG. And obviously all of these cars in here are not mine. I share this warehouse space with a few buddies. So there's an SVT Contour here. I don't know much about it. It doesn't have an engine. And well, the engine's actually over there on the floor for some reason, but It's here, it's got a kayak on the roof. It's a very Fast and Furious era two-tone style thing. This is another Ford Contour that is owned by my buddy Stu. He's owned it since new, and it's like beyond mint. It's probably the nicest Contour left in existence. This is Charlie from Daily Motors, 2008 Ford Escape Hybrid. You'll see more of that on the Daily Motor channel. This is also Stu's Fiesta ST. This is a renter's Civic Si. I don't know much about this thing. Let me go around the other side because this car in the middle is mine, and I definitely want to show you around it and talk about it a little bit. So, this is my 2003 Lexus IS300 with a 5-speed manual transmission. If you guys subscribe to the TheTopher, if you subscribe to Winding Road, you'll have seen this car in a couple of videos. The TheTopher has driven the crap out of this thing, and he really, really loves it. In fact, he almost bought it from me a couple of years ago, but I'm actually glad that I decided to hang on to it. I just put these BBS wheels on, and Bridgestone, so graciously, shout out to Bridgestone, sent me some Potenza Sports to wrap them in, and I think they look epic. This thing handles so much nicer now with a proper set of tires on it. And, well, this is just one of the best cars I've ever owned. I bought it in 2016, right when I graduated high school, and it's just been a really good friend ever since. It's the first Japanese car I ever bought. It's the first rear-wheel drive car I ever bought. And it's the first car with an inline 6 that I ever bought. If you're unfamiliar, we'll go ahead and we'll open the hood here. I can show you. Oh, it's already popped because I've got a trickle charger on it. So this car is powered by the 3-liter straight 6 Toyota engine. You guys will know it better as the 2JZ GE, the naturally aspirated version of the Supramotor, as a lot of people like to say. But really, is it the Supramotor? I mean, a naturally aspirated Supra. It's not the most iconic version of the 2JZ, but boy, is it a sweetheart. I love this engine. It's phenomenal, and it really brings this car to life. Honestly, this car reminds me a lot of the new Toyota GR86. We just spent a week in that car last week, and a lot of aspects of that car reminded me of my Lexus, which is hilarious. The pedals, let me show you the pedals here. They look exactly the same as you'd get in a GR86 or a BRZ or, you know, any new sporty Toyota with a manual transmission. And that was really the reason that I bought this IS300. I was stuck on getting a manual. Of course, the automatics of these cars, they're pretty plentiful. They're becoming a little bit harder to find nowadays just because all of them have been riced out and ruined by teenagers. But I'm happy that I didn't ruin this one while I was a teenager, because I did buy this when I was 17 or 18, however old I was when I bought it, fresh out of high school. But yeah, it's been a really good friend. It's been dead reliable. I've done quite a bit of maintenance, though. I've probably spent $3,000 just kind of maintaining this thing preventatively. Of course, I've done timing belt and, you know, all the stuff that this thing needs. But this is the IS300. I would like to take this thing out on some comfort mode drives before the end of the season. I did drive this car through a couple of winters when I was in college, but then I started garaging it because I realized how rare and like desirable it was. So now it just hangs out in the garage, heated during the winter. But a truly, truly fantastic car. If you can get your hands on one of these right now, do it, because they're just going to keep appreciating and becoming harder to find, especially in like stock condition like this. I don't think I'll ever get rid of this car. So that's the IS300. This one you guys are familiar with. This is my 86 Mercedes W126 420 SEL, and I do have an update. I found a windshield for this car. All I have to do is call and schedule it and then load it up on a trailer and take it out to this guy who is familiar with 80s cars and doing 80s windshields. Unfortunately, this isn't really one of those cars where you can just have somebody come out and put a windshield in it. It's a bit more complex than that, mostly because of all this crazy chrome trim that goes around the windshield. And also, people, the way I understand it is, a lot of the guys that are coming around doing windshields aren't really used to this sort of thing. So the gentleman recommended that I actually bring it to his shop so he can do it himself. He's the owner of the garage, and he really wants to get his own hands on this. So I have found a windshield. It's not too expensive. So this will be getting a windshield. I've also got 4 new doors for the, or sorry, I have 3 new doors. I'm still on the search for another one. But these doors that are all bullet wounded and have broken glass, I do have some replacement doors. I have 3 of them. Actually, the most frustrating part about this is the one door that I don't have is this door, which is really the only door that I absolutely need because of this quarter window that has a hole in it. So I'm still on the lookout for a driver's rear door for a long wheelbase W126. If you have one or if you know of one, let me know, because, and I don't care what color it is because I'm changing the color of this car. So no matter what the color is, it just has to be a long wheelbase door, because the long wheelbase is a little bit different than the short wheelbase. It's slightly longer, of course. Otherwise, though, I don't think I've done anything. Oh, actually, I did put a new grill on this car, because when it was on the forklift at Copart, they destroyed the grill. So I went to the junkyard and got this grill for 20 bucks. And it's not perfect, but it looks quite a bit better, in my opinion. It's not all cracked and broken and stuff, so it looks pretty good. But yeah, so this is the W126. You guys are familiar with this car if you subscribe, but yeah, okay. Just a rundown on that. There's a Miata over there, a Focus, Mercer XR4 Ti. None of those are mine, but this one is mine. So this car is especially special. It's kind of a weird play on words, but it is quite special to me. This is a 2009 Chevrolet Cobalt SS Turbo, and it was my first car. I got this car in 2012 as a 14-year-old. I was very lucky to have a grandpa that sort of fed into my passion for cars. In fact, he's the entire reason that I'm into cars. So he blessed me with my first car, and I'm forever grateful for that. And due to that, I have kept it in pristine condition. I've never driven it in the snow. In fact, this car has never seen any snow at all. It's totally rust-free, and it's mostly bone stock. So I've owned it now for just about 10 years. It's got 56,000 miles on it, and it's just about as mint as you can find a turbocharged Cobalt SS. It's got Brembo brakes. Right now I'm running some Dunlop Dureza tires. I'm not the biggest fan of these. They've been on here for a while. They're pretty hard and just ready to be swapped out for some Bridgestones probably eventually. I've got this car plugged into a Trickle, but the battery is in the trunk, so I can still show you guys the engine. But here's the interior. It's trimmed in red leather. It's got Alcantara inserts. Everything is just bone stock in here. I haven't messed with anything. This is another thing. I'm glad that I wasn't super into modifying cars when I was a teenager, because I would have just ruined these beautiful cars. So I don't know, what did I pay? I think we paid like 13 or 14,000 for this car back in 2012, and it's probably worth that now, honestly, because none of these are left. And I'm actually not going to show you the engine, because whoever put this Civic Si here parked it like 6 inches from my door. But yeah, 2-liter turbo, 260 horsepower, 260 foot-pounds of torque, 5-speed manual, front-wheel drive. It's got launch control. It's a pretty fun little ride. I need to get it out and go and drive it some more and let you all experience it as well. There is a very old video on this car on the Winding Road Magazine YouTube channel where it's the TheTopher driving and me in the passenger seat as like a, how old was I? I was probably 18 or 19, not even. Maybe I was like 17 back in the old days of Winding Road. So if you look up this car, you might be able to find it. In fact, I'll leave a link in the description, and you can go check that out. Apologies for not being very knowledgeable on the car back then. I think I said some incorrect things about it, and people were pressed in the comments. But yeah, so that's my first ever car. I don't ever plan on getting rid of this unless someone offers me some astronomical amount of money, but even then, I probably wouldn't sell it. So let's go ahead and walk over to the outside parking lot where I have a car that I've showed you guys before, and there are multiple videos on it, but just since I'm showing you all my cars, we'll go ahead and we'll go walk around that car real quick. So what was that now? I've showed you 4 cars, so now we'll move on to car number 5. This is like first-person GTA. Can you see his hands when he walks? I don't know. You gotta more like walk more so like this, I think, if it's GTA. And over here in what we've named the B lot, I only have one car over here. All of these other cars are owned by my garage mates, but here it is. It's my 2000 BMW 323i. This car has close to 400,000 miles on it. It's in the 360-ish thousand mile range. And well, I've owned this thing for just over a year at this point, about a year and a half. And it's been a really good car. It's in need of a battery right now. It's sitting here on a dead battery. But I'm confident that if I just throw a battery in it, it'll fire right up and go wherever I want it to go. It was super reliable for the previous owner. I got this car through my buddy Sean down at Kouth and Mayer in Peoria, Illinois. He always hooks me up with the BMWs that his clients are selling because he doesn't like BMWs, and he knows that I do. So here's this car. I failed to bring the key with me, but it's a 5-speed manual. If you're curious to see, and I didn't bring the key because there's plenty of videos on this car already on the internet. If you want to see some footage on this car of me driving it, I'll leave a link to the TheTopher video in the description because I drove this car a couple of times on the TheTopher channel and just kind of gave an overview on it. The TheTopher and I want to do a rallycross in this car. I think that would be cool. There's one coming up next month, middle of next month. So I got to put a battery in this and make sure it's all right to go. But I think that would be a fun use for this car. It's another car that I paid $1,000 for, so don't really care too much what happens to it. That's not your invitation to come and steal it. I would still like to keep it, but hopefully we can get some fun use out of this car before the season is over. And if not, then it's a really good winter beater. It's a good car to have around, and whatever else. And right next to it, this isn't mine, but it's a E39 540i with a 6-speed manual transmission, so kind of a rare car. I think this color is rare too. But this isn't my car, so I don't know too much about it. But someday maybe we'll film a video on this car. But there's the E46. That's car number 5. Let me walk you over to technically car number 7. You guys have seen my Porsche Cayman S here on the channel. But let me walk you over to car number 7. And it's a car that I just bought a few weeks ago. So let me walk all the way back over now and show you that car. And when I say show you the car, I'm not going to show you the car in full detail because I want to have a separate video where we talk about this new purchase, but I'll give you a little bit of a sneak peek. All right, here we go. It's not the Mazda Protege, it's the one next to it. So if you follow me on Instagram, you already know about this car. If you want to go spoil the surprise, you can just go ahead and go look on Instagram. I'll leave my Instagram linked in the description. But here it is. Go ahead and comment down below if you can guess what kind of car this is. Some of the experts might be able to tell even with it being under a cover. You could especially be able to tell when I show you this dished wheel here in the back. Woo, yeah. I'm going to give you just a little bit of a sneak peek of the car. I'm not going to fully uncover it, but just know that this is the next car that you guys are going to see on the channel. I also got this car from my buddy Sean down at Kouth and Mayer in Peoria, Illinois, and Charlie drove it all the way back up here. It's about a 6-hour drive, so look forward to a video on this car coming in the near future. The reason that we're not taking a look at it today is because the driver's seat is out being reupholstered, and it was supposed to be done last week, but it was in such poor condition that the gentleman I had doing it had to outsource it to a different company to have it redone. So look forward to a driving video on this. It's in fine mechanical shape. At least it was when I put the cover on it, but BMWs, they do their things and they break while they sit. So hopefully it'll be in good enough driving condition to go out and shoot a video on this once the driver's seat is back. But yeah, this is car number 7. I'm really excited. Go ahead and cover it back up here. And just like that, you've seen pretty much my entire fleet. If you're curious to see car number 6, my Porsche 987 Cayman S, I will have a link in the description to the comfort mode video that I just filmed on that car, and it gives you the full tour, the full drive, everything. So if you're curious about the Porsche, that'll be linked in the description. But otherwise, thank you all so much for watching. This is the coolest thing to be able to just kind of hang out in the garage and show you some of my personal cars. I don't often get to talk about the personal cars, so it's cool to be next to them and hang out and have someone to listen to me. So thank you all for doing that. Thank you for supporting. My hand is in something sticky. Okay. Thank you all for supporting. Thank you for subscribing and liking and commenting. And if you want to hang out with me more, follow me on Instagram. I'm on there a bit more than YouTube. And yeah, I guess that's about it. So I'm gonna wrap this up. Hopefully this video was somewhat interesting. Comment what car you would like to see the most out of the 6 that I showed you today, and we'll try and make that happen and try and shoot some more videos on those cars. But that'll wrap it up for today. Thank you all so much for watching, and well, I will see you soon. Hold me to that. I'll see you soon in the next video. Cheers, guys.